She taught me that. You just hold somebody and you tell them, it's going to be all right. And it is going to be all right. You know, if you're new, just keep coming back. It is my incredible honor, and I'm sure if her father's watching, Bobby Mitchell from Glen Cove, New York, I know he's just as gushingly proud as I am to give you Sarah.
Woo! I'm Sarah and I'm an addict. You guys know how to throw a party. Wow. And then Luann out here, she's like, send the mom up. That'll brighten it up. Now I'm just sobbing. This is great, guys. I didn't know we were going to do this. This is phenomenal. These are real tears, Shiloh Inn. Hi. Woo! Okay, who's excited to be alive? Yay! I am so excited to be alive right now. I love you. I really do. Mom, I love you so much. I have to do, I just want to say, first of all, everyone here has been so wonderful. I want the committee members to stand up right now. Where are you? You stand up right now. All my Serenity Keepers also, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Because this is not an easy convention. Truthfully, I didn't know what was going on half the time. I was out here scalping tickets and bartering things and giving hand jobs to get in dinners. And, you know what I mean? It was a lot. I was like, what is going on? So I really, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful to you guys because you have like 7 conventions going on simultaneously and there's a lot happening and this is just incredible. And I also want to thank you guys so much for having me out here because honestly, I feel like you guys might have made a bad decision. That's okay though. Everyone makes mistakes. I'll pray for you. But I was so honored to speak alongside, alongside these incredible speakers Thursday and Friday, Adrian, Rodney, blown away. Absolutely blown away because these are my predecessors in a very extreme way. I'm going to tell you guys how old I am and how much time I have because that's all you're thinking about right now. So I'm 15 and I have 10 years clean. And I look fucking great for my age. I know I do. I know. I look fantastic. I know, just soak it up. Especially Shiloh Inn right now. They're like, we know. We're right in your pores. We see you. No, I'm 28 and I have 11 years clean. I got clean at 17 years old. I got clean at 17, so to speak alongside with, people who have, 30, 20, I'm absolutely honored and completely confused. As were most of you when I showed up. They were like, that's the main speaker. Actually, no, everyone was like, this is a youth speaker. And I was like, I'm actually Saturday. And they were like, what? Why? No. Are you sure? And I was like, I'm not sure, truthfully. I'm just as confused as you are. Yeah. So yes, apparently I am. We're in here right now. It is going down. Clean and free. Strength without limits. I do want to say that the one thing that I think they made a good decision because I have to tell you that I have had strength without limits. And I know that because I've done a thorough 4th step. You know what I mean? I know that today. I have a lot of assets, and I would say that, perseverance and strength have been some of the things that have defined me and defined my life, and I learned that in Narcotics Anonymous. I also, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to import my own readers. I brought them all from Los Angeles, except Doug. We just got Doug. We're going to take him back with us. You don't want to live in Yelm anyway, right, Doug? Overrated. We're taking him back. I have no idea where Yelm is at all. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Is that a real thing? Yes. It is. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Look at that. Look at the service. We did the math because also, this is my family up here, other than Doug, but we're going to take him with us. We just met, but this is my family up here, and it's incredible because my mom flew out from New York, and Yo Steve has been like a father to me. I mean that literally. I met him at my first convention when I had a week and a half clean. Angela is my sponsee sister and my best friend. Me and Ian have been going on this road together forever. Colin is such an important person in my life, as are my other friends. I mean, people showed up for me, and I want to tell you that for someone like me, that feels so overwhelming. I am so loved. And when I got here to Washington, everyone was so loving. Everyone was so loving. I just want to say I adore you. I do want you to be my grandmother. I love my real grandmother, but she's kind of a bitch. And she is. It's okay. My granny's got 30 years clean, and she 12 steps everything. I'm like, Granny, that's a potted plant. No, they're not an addict. That's a potted plant. We're going to get you glasses. It's all good. But I just adore you. And Doug, you're great. You're really great, Doug. I wish I learned more about Doug. I don't know what to say about Doug right now. Doug is great. Doug has 16 years clean. When I did the math, yes, Doug. We love Doug. I love you, Doug. There's 142 when I did years clean at this table. That's incredible. That's incredible. That is incredible. So I'm just overwhelmed to be here. I'm really grateful. I also want to say Washington kind of bugged me out. We got to Seattle, and I heard someone else share about this, but this was real. Homeless people were like, "Hi, do you have $1?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And they were like, "Hey, thank you so much." I was like, "Excuse me? What the fuck? Are you okay?" In LA, they're like, "Do you have $1?" And I give them $1, and they're like, "I see you got a 5 in there, though." You're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? I got this guy a beef bowl one time, and he was like, "Oh, no, I'm a pescatarian." I was like, all right, word. Yeah, LA. Hi. That's great. When I was homeless, I wasn't a pescatarian, so give me back my beef bowl. Okay? I didn't got it like that at the time. So here we go. So obviously, my mom has 29 years in Narcotics Anonymous. And, hey, girl. I want to talk about, my dad had 13 years clean. He relapsed. He died of a heroin overdose. My grandmother has got 30 years clean. My uncle died 3 years ago of a heroin overdose. My grandfather died with 25 years clean, still due to the disease of addiction. My aunt died with 7 years clean due to the disease of addiction. My family, we all came from not enough. We all came from suffering. We all came from ill. We all came from lack. So I would love to say that, my childhood was idyllic. It wasn't. Everyone was doing the best that they could, and this has been a real learning process. And I do want to say that I am the first to break the chain. My family open the doors. My family is literally my predecessors, and they opened the doors, but there has been such growth since I've had the ability to get clean, and I had the ability to get clean very young because of my family and because of my mother in particular, so I just want to thank you, Mom. And people don't know to clap. They're like, should we start it now? I don't know. She's just saying such great things. No. I'm kidding. I might, though. I don't know. I want to welcome the newcomers. Where are my newcomers at? Raise your hand. I want to welcome you. I want to welcome you. Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. We love you. If you haven't felt loved yet, come over to me and I will hold you. You know what I mean? Yeah, that guy's like, let's get it done. Tight. Let's go. I will. I'll hold you. And then if you get weird, someone will beat you up. Yeah. We'll just keep coming back, you know? Some people got old behaviors out here. I'm liable. But I want to welcome you to Narcotics Anonymous. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I also want to tell you that I've had a lot of incredible things happen to me. I have a beautiful life today, but this is the best thing that has ever happened to me. When I got here, I was broken. When I got here, I was incapable of connecting with human beings. When I got here, I really wanted to die. And I don't know if you can tell right now, but today I want to live. I am so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful to be alive. So if you're in here and you want to die, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. If you have multiple years clean and you want to die, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. If you know what, if you're too young to get clean, if you're too old to get clean, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. If you like to date people that beat you, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. If you lost all your money at Quinault, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. Welcome. You know what I mean? If you date people you don't like, welcome. The step work has changed my entire life. And I say that with experience because, again, I come from a long line of this. We've done all that shit. Welcome to Narcotics Anonymous. You know, there's a lot of new people coming in. There's a lot of young people coming in. We need you. You know, we need you. And the weird thing, though, this is what I'm going to say about that, because it's so weird, because there's a lot of people that come in and they're like, I'm not really an addict. I just smoke pot. First of all, the pot is really weird right now, okay? I'm going to say that. That shit is wild. You eat your roommate's heart, okay? It's a drug. A drug is a drug is a drug. Welcome. You know, I find these people, they're like, no, I just smoke weed. I'm not really an addict. I'm like, yes, you are. That's even more wild. You know what I mean? You're going to end up on the same couch for the next 40 years and didn't even know what happened. That's fucked up. It's a terrible way to live. What? That is horrific. I've never heard anything worse. You know, I'm grateful that whatever, you know, I don't talk about drugs a lot, but I just want to say that no matter what you did, no matter how much you used, no matter who you did it with, no matter what, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous, because we have a spot for everybody out here. Diversity is our strength. So welcome. You know, so basically, yeah, I come from a long line of addicts, and I'm originally from New York, which is why I'm kind of bossy, and I feel like some people were offended by my jokes. And that's okay, because I'm kind of offensive sometimes, and I yell. But, you know, so I grew up, and there was a lot of chaos. And, you know, when I was 5 years old, I went from Queens, New York with my mom, and I went to go live with my father. And I'm going to tell you guys why this whole trip is very cathartic in a weird way. So I went to go live with my father in Washington. Yeah, you people. Yeah. And my father was a nudist. Yeah. Uh-huh. And so I grew up, what'd she say? That didn't go over well? Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, so my dad was a nudist. They weren't nude all the time. There was just a lot of nude time. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of nude time in there. Uh-huh. Clothing optional. And New York, and I went to a trailer in the woods, and there was nobody around. And so basically what started to happen is, to put my life back together took a long time for me in this process. But basically what happened is I went and, and I lived with my father and my stepmother. And my stepmother was also in recovery, but for real, a nudist. And she grew the hair like some hippie. There's people out here that like that. And she would beat it and all that stuff. And she was a taxidermist. And, I support you guys. I support you if you're out here like that. I love you. I respect it. I do. But so we lived in a forest, in a trailer, and, I was a child of poverty. I was a child of poverty consciousness. What I'm talking about is it's never enough. We're never going to be okay. I had such a poverty shame that lived deep within me. And even getting clean, I really struggled with it. I was terrified of people that had money. It just made me feel so inadequate. And so what started happening is that my dad and my stepmom my dad started to relapse, and my stepmom was really, really, really wildly inappropriate. And so they would have boys come over, and they would, have these boys do things with me, and they would take pictures. But at the end of that, I would get to watch Snow White, right? So what I'm talking about is the disease of addiction manifesting at a very early age. I understood that I had to do what I had to do to get what I wanted. My first drug of choice was fantasy through and through. I dropped out of the 4th grade. I had absolutely no formal education, but what I did have was books. And so what I would do is I would read Nancy Drew. And for those of you who don't know, Nancy Drew was a detective cheerleader that went to high school. Okay, and she was blonde, and people loved her, and she ate food. And that's what I aspired to. I was like, damn, you got food out here? What's good? You're spoiled. But I wanted, what I'm talking about is the illusion of being anybody but me, because what started to happen is that my dad started to shoot dope, and what my job became by the age of 7 was taking care of this house, and finding ways and means for my dad to have more, because 1 was too many and 1,000 was never enough. Right? And my job also became, taking care of myself. And I didn't really know how to, but I had to make sure that everyone was okay. And so I started to live out of illusion and fantasy and being anybody but me. And that was where I found my solace. By the end, I had dirty hair and I had dirty fingernails and I hadn't been fed and I hadn't been bathed. And all I knew was that it wasn't okay, but I didn't know how to reconcile that. And so all I did was pretend like I was Nancy Drew. I pretended that my dad loved me enough. I pretended that he cared about me enough. And the truth is upon reflection, my father loved me the best way he knew how. When he was clean, he was one of the most enigmatic, charismatic men I've ever met in my life. But when my dad used drugs, he was a terrorist. And that's what the disease of addiction does. It robs us of our humanity. And it allows us to do things that are so demoralizing, and not only to ourselves, but to our children, to our wives, to our coworkers, to everybody around us. And so what the disease of addiction is, it robbed my father of his dignity, and it robbed him of the ability to be my father. And so that was basically what happened. And eventually, the cops came. I mean, my mom was calling the cops all the time, and they were coming, but nothing was happening. And so I went from the forest on a nudist colony with a medicine man in the woods, skinning my own drums. And, I went back to Queens. I was like, hey. And, and what happened was my dad died of a heroin overdose, and when you guys did this whole gone but not forgotten thing, it hits me really heavy. I mean, because, there are so many beautiful people that I have met in this process, or that I have known all my life, that are no longer in here. And, some of them died clean and some of them didn't. But either way, they have impacted my life on such a deep level that I will never be able to repay my gratitude. On such a deep level. I'm talking about changed my life. You know what I mean? A lot of the people that were there for me when I first got clean are no longer here. And most of them are dead. So anyway, I go back to Queens, right? And I started using at 10 because Nancy Drew just ran out. You know what I mean? That bitch was getting old. I was like, I need that new. And so we lived in Flushing. And I don't know about you guys. I've always just wanted to fit what I did is I moved back to Queens and I got into a Korean gang because I'm Irish and Italian. But there was a surplus of Koreans. And I was like, yo, let me in. And what I found out is that they're very, very loyal. And they're very down. And I always appreciated that about every gang that I joined. I was like, how down are you, though? I'm willing to die for you. What's your name? Hi. You know what I mean? And so I lived in New York, and, the same chaos ensued. I really found such a relief in drugs, but also more so the lifestyle. And so I hid in that, and I hid in those feelings. I got arrested every weekend. I wasn't good at it. I was like, see you guys next week. I'll be here. Love you. Like, I just did it because that was the only way I knew how to get attention. That was the only way I knew how to get attention. And so I continuously did the same thing, knowing that I would get the same result. And I waited, and eventually my mom ended up moving to Los Angeles, and foster care came, and they were like, you can either, make the move or stay in New York and be in foster care. And I was like, I think I'm going to go to LA because Tupac Shakur is there. And I mean that. Like, I really believed that I was Tupac. Because the illusion of drugs, if I wasn't going to be Nancy Drew, I was going to be Tupac. And so, so I moved to Los Angeles, My drug use changed. My drug use changed depending on who I was with, what I could get, how much I could get. And, the honest truth is that I liked a lot of, I liked alcohol. That was my favorite thing. But the problem with alcohol is that I was a whore. And, yeah, I was a whore. So what would happen was I had no control anymore. So I would keep doing this and I would keep doing this. I'm sorry, Mom. Does that upset you? I was a whore. We're doing a little fifth step right now. Yeah. The good news is I don't remember most of it, so don't worry about that. Don't even worry about that, Ma. We're all good. I don't remember them either, so it's fine. It's like it didn't happen. She wanted to fly out here, you know what I mean? I can't hold back for you, Ma. Someone needs this. I don't know who it is. Maybe they're in the back. They're like, I was a whore too. I was. I don't remember any of them. There you go. There's my girl. Thank you. Hold me down. That's right. There we go. We had some former whores out here. I love y'all. That's right. Never alone. Yeah. There we go. Thank you guys. I appreciate that because I was feeling a little bit weird about it. I was like, nobody was a whore? Oh my God. Am I in the right fellowship? What? Yeah. So alcohol wasn't a good look on me because I don't remember it. You know what I mean? I would just end up and I was like, what's your name? Where are we? And why? And so I had to switch it up. You know what I mean? So I switched drugs. And when I ended up in Los Angeles, what happened was, is that I, if my world was not on fire, I did not feel safe. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. If my world was not in chaos, I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe, so what I had to do was light my world on fire just to get a moment of peace. I mean, a moment, and that's all I got. And so when I got to Los Angeles, what ended up happening is that I had gotten abducted and I had gotten raped by 3 men for days. And what I'm talking about is I was such a victim my whole life because of the things that had happened to me. I mean, I lived out of such a victim mentality. And when that situation happened, although it was not my fault, it validated something deep within me that said, you're not okay, and you will never be okay. Nobody loves you, and it's never going to be all right. That's what the disease of addiction did to me. It pivoted between 2 places. What the disease of addiction told me was nobody loves you, you will never be okay. And then it also said, I've got your back. We're going to do this. It's going to be okay. I'll take care of everything. And those are the 2 places that I lived in. Too much and not enough. And so this situation ended up happening, and what that did to me is it allowed me to change my drug use because I had to be up at all times. Do you know what I mean? I was like, we got to watch out because they're coming for us. And then doing too much of that, I was like, the reptilian empire is really what's coming for us. I'll let that sink in. I'll let it sink in. Yeah. And, so... yeah, it was really cute. I was adorable on drugs, let me tell you. I also didn't know how tiny and cute I am, because I'm really cute. Like, I'm 5 feet tall. You could put me in your trunk. And, but when I was using drugs, I really believed that I was a gangster. I mean, I really believed that. I carried weapons, you know what I mean? I was, doing things with the Mexican drug cartel. I abducted Mac 10's niece from Thug Life. I mean, I'm talking about committing to my role here. Do you understand? I committed. And the craziest part about that is that the only reason I did all those things wasn't because I was tough or cool, because I'm really tiny and cute, and I'm sweet, and I cry. in public. The reason I did it is because I wanted to live out of the illusion of the disease of addiction. I wanted to live out of the illusion of being anybody but me one more time. And when those illusions were shattered, I had to find somebody else to be. And so that's why I took it to any lengths to get what I needed to do and to feel and validate this illusion in my mind of who I was and how hard I was. And the truth is that I was dying inside, and I was so broken, and I felt so not enough, and I felt so empty, and I felt so detached, and I felt so disconnected from my spirit that I did a lot of really insane things to try and back it up. And, I was living in Inglewood. I don't know if you guys have been to Inglewood. Yeah, some of you haven't. There you go. We got two in the back. What were you thinking? I'm kidding. No, there's nice parts. But I was living in Inglewood with 12 men, and we were writing our fake names on other people's walls, and we were fighting the revolution. We were fighting the revolution. And it was very important at the time, you know what I mean? And I would walk around and be like, Viva la revoluzione! Because I had gone from my Korean gang to my black gang to my Mexican gang, and that's where I landed. So I shaved my eyebrows off, and I was fighting the revolution. And boy, did they need me. Yo, the disease is cold. It's like, you're a chola. You get out there. They need you. What are they gonna do without you? What? Like, what do they need me for? I wasn't drinking, so I wasn't a whore anymore. There was no point. So, I want to talk about getting clean. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get clean, because that was fun. I want to talk about what it really felt like. Because here's the truth. My mom had come and found me, and, I was a high school dropout 6 times over. I would go back to sell drugs, and then I realized that I hated people, and then I would drop out, and then the same thing would happen. And so my mom came and found me, and she said, your grandmother is coming from New York, and I don't want her to know that you're an addict, which is really funny in retrospect. What? I weighed like 20 pounds, and I was like, yeah. I was like, hi. And so, my granny 12 steps everything, like I said. And, she came to visit me a few years ago, and she was like, had this intervention on me at like 6 a.m. She was like sitting at the edge of the bed and crying. And I was like, what's wrong? She's like, you're a hoarder. And I was like, I just like gnomes. Like, what? She's like very intense, you know what I mean? I was like, no, I just like a lot of gnomes. What's the problem? But my mom came and got me, and I went home. And every morning my granny would make me a plate of food. And like I said, my granny always has something to say. But she would hand me that plate of food in the morning, and she said absolutely nothing. She said absolutely nothing. She looked into my eyes, and she passed me the plate of food. And in that moment, I could feel the exact nature of my wrongs being revealed to me. Because my entire life, it was always what you did to me. It was always your fault. It was always what happened to me. That was the idea that I lived out of. And at that exact moment, I could feel the connectedness of human life, something that I had been so removed from for so long. And I would take that plate of food and I would scrape it off into my dresser drawer, and I felt so empty. That's why I got clean. I could still get high, but I felt so empty. And so what happened was my mom came to me and she said, do you want to go to a meeting? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm too cool for them. And so she took me to the Burbank Convention for 3 days. Yo! I was like, damn. And so bought me my first, thing of food, and I was like, who is this dude? Because he was wearing a matching sweatsuit, like many of you are doing right now. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these people, I was like, this is a cult. And I knew it was, because I'd grown up in it, so I knew it was a cult. I was totally fine with that. Newcomer, I'm kidding. but I'm serious. If you're new and you're in here, I've got some really bad news. You won't be able to get high again successfully. We got him! Sorry. It's too late. I mean, you could go get high. You just won't feel good. What else? Yeah, that's how they do it, though. They get you out here, and they're like, no, it'll be cool. Maybe you'll like it. And then we're like, bam! We fucked up your high for life. We did. Sorry. That's how it goes. You know what I mean? It's too late for y'all. You got to stay. But let me tell you, it's phenomenal. So I ended up, I didn't go to treatment. I didn't even know that was a thing. What I did was I just went to meetings, and I went to meetings, and I went to meetings, and I went to meetings. And I have to tell you guys that there are some people that come in here and they're like, I have 30 days clean and I feel like God. Yay. I love you. Yes. No, I love you. Yeah, I love you. Because we're both doing this is fun. Yay. She's phenomenal, right? Like, I love her. We're both doing the same dance moves. We're like, so. Who brought me? Whoever did this, I really appreciate it. I won't be back, apparently, but, I really, thank you, Kia. I'm trying. I know I'm not supposed to curse either, but you can't tell me that, you know what I mean? Because the whole time I just want to curse. But some people have the desire to stop using lifted immediately. I am not one of those people. I wanted to get high for my first year and a half clean, and the secret is that I just didn't get high. That's the big secret. Hey! People are like, how did you do that if you wanted to get high? I didn't get high. It's crazy. That's why they flew me here, just to say that. Yeah, that's it. That's the big secret. I just didn't. Guess what? I wanted to get high every day. I just didn't get high. And what I did was I just kept going back to meetings, and I 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 just didn't get high, and I kept going back to meetings, and I just didn't get high, and I kept going back to meetings. The other thing was that I did is I told on myself. So I would go to meetings and everyone hated me. I'd be like, hi, I'm Sarah, I'm an addict, I'm way too cool for you guys, I'm 17 and I'm fighting a revolution, they need me, I want to get high. And they would be like, yay! We know how important you are. And I was like, thank you, I appreciate that. I know. But I just didn't get high, and I just kept going back to meetings. That's it. I just didn't pick up, because what I understood the minute that I got here, here's what I understood. You guys didn't necessarily have what I wanted, and I did not have a desire to stop using. But here's what happened. People were able to make eye contact. That was something that I had missed for years. People were able to touch each other. I could not be touched my first year clean. I was incapable of being touched. I could not be held. I was terrified of life, and I did not know how to say that. But I saw something in you guys that I wanted. The other thing I understood, people might frown upon this, I don't care. I can get high at any point. That's it. I can still go get high right now. I can. I have choices today. I understood that I didn't always have an opportunity to get clean, but I could always get high. Right? So if you're in here right now and you have 10 days, hold on to that. Do not let that 10 days go. If you have one day, hold on to that. Hold on to that. Because what I promise you is that you can get high tomorrow, but if you let go of that clean time, I cannot guarantee that you'll be back here. I cannot guarantee that you will even live through the night. You know why? Because I've had so many people die. So many people. I've had 2 sponsees die. 3 years ago, I buried my best friend died. 5 years clean, overdose, dead, bam, it's over. Done. So if you're in here and you kind of want to get high, or you really want to get high, and you've got, 3 days put together, hold on to your clean time. Hold on to it. Because you might not ever get that back if you walk out of here. You might not ever get that back. I don't think people realize that. I met a lot of people and they're like, I'm just going to use, I'm maybe being normal, and they're dead. It's over. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful. And sometimes people get weird because they're like, don't freak out the newcomer. Newcomer, you already know that. You just came out of a shooting gallery. There's probably 4 people dead on the ground when you walked over them. You already know that. I'm not scaring you. Right? I'm small. I'm cute. You guys been living out here. You already know that. You just don't know it could happen to you. That's all you don't know. You don't know it could happen to you. And I'm here to tell you that it can. I'm here to tell you that it can. So what I understood was that I could get high at any point, but I did not know if I could put those days back together. So I held on to those days. And what I would tell myself is, Sarah, I understand how you feel, but you can get high tomorrow. Okay? And then I'd wake up the next day and I would say, Sarah, I understand how you feel, but you can get high tomorrow. And then the next day, I would say, Sarah, I understand how you feel. Maybe we should do it. You're right. And then I would call someone, and they'd be like, I understand how you feel, but you just need to hold on for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute. Hold on, hold on, hold on. And that holding on turned into 11 years. Hi. The other thing is I got involved in service, you know what I mean? I got involved in H&I when I had 6 months clean. I did not leave H&I. Yeah. These people know how good it feels. They're actually really self-centered. They're doing it for them. That's real, because people in H&I are like, we do it for us. We do. It's one of the most rewarding forms of service to me. In my opinion, it's one of the most rewarding, and I did not know that it would transform my life. And what happened was I got involved in 6 months. At 6 months, I'd never been to a facility. I'd been to, I've been arrested a lot. I've been to some places, but I wasn't incarcerated at that level. I was cute. And I would go into these places and I would, I got my own panel when I had a year, and I would yell at them and I'd be like banging on books and, I'd quote things and I knew everything and it was so tight. And, but what they did is they allowed me to see myself for the first time, because what happened was I got this panel in Highland Park and it was all these little girls, right? And these little girls were so thugged out. They were like who I wanted to be in my mind when I was wilding out. And, because they were like 12 and they'd like stab their dad 72 times in the face. You know what I mean? You're just like, I respect that. And they scared the shit out of me. Because also kids have they have no morals. They haven't even formed yet. They'll kill everybody out here. So I was scared of them. I was like, you don't have a conscience. But I would go in every week and I would yell at them, and I would get speakers that would yell at them because I thought that's what they wanted. I was like, you want to be yelled at. And sometimes I hear people do, they go into panels and they're like, yeah, yelling. I'm going to tell you what to do. And that didn't work on them. And so I would come back month after month, month after month, month after month, and I didn't put a dent in these girls. These girls were showing no cards. And so one week, one of my speakers fell out, which happens a lot in H&I. People don't show up. And so I went, and I was scared, and so I started to share, and I started to yell at them. And I started to, talk about kidnapping Mac 10's niece or whatever. I was like, I'll fit in with these kids. We're both down. And it didn't hit them. And so what I decided to do was to tell them my truth. And what the truth was is that I was afraid, and the truth was I didn't feel loved, and the truth was I didn't get what I deserved to get growing up, and I didn't know how to be better, and I wanted love so bad, and so I did everything that I knew how to do to get that. And all of a sudden, the toughest girl who had done the most, horrendous things, she literally had stabbed her brother, like she was really down, and she started to bawl. And all the girls in the room were terrified. And so was I. They were like, you broke her. Oh, my God. And I started to cry because I was like, I'm going to die here in Highland Park without ever having lived fully. And And she started to share with me, and she said, I'm really scared, and I really just want to be loved. And then she crawled into my lap and cried on me. Narcotics Anonymous has changed my life. The service that I have done here has absolutely changed my spirit. I'm talking about changed my entire life, changed my perspective, allowed me to love people. Because until that point, I was still walking around with weapons in Narcotics Anonymous. I was still living out of the idea of who I thought I was. And the truth is, I had absolutely no idea who I was. So I hid behind old ideas, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about now. Where am I at? I don't know. Whatever. 4 hours. No, I meant Ocean Shores. I'm clear on that. Your weather is phenomenal. Super clear. Yeah, you guys are killing it out here. 70-mile-an-hour winds right in your eyeball. Love it. Give me more. It's so hardcore. Yes. No, I don't know on time, but someone will do something to tell me, right? So I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to talk all day. I want to talk a little bit about what this process was like for me. You know, I got a sponsor, and I got a man to sponsor me, and everyone was like, you really should get a woman. And I was like, he's got a ponytail. What's the problem? Sorry. I was like, yo, it's all good. And so they were like, no, you should really get a woman. So I got a woman that looked like a man. And that was like my compromise. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, we can do this. And she completely changed who I was, you know. And what I did was I went back to high school clean. I really went to high school in the first place clean. It wasn't like I'd been there. I went back to high school clean, and I graduated. And I love NA because the bar is so low out here. They're like, yes, you did. You went to the grocery store. Good for you. We are so proud. You know what I mean? Because it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. But that's amazing. I'm like, I showered. You guys are like, yes! Standing ovation. You go to a normal person, they're like, tight. Yeah, you're still a degenerate. You showered. Great. Good for you. Get a job. Yeah. But I went back to high school, and you know, and I was homeless my first few years clean. And what ended up happening, you know, I got an apartment, right? I got my first apartment, and it was I called it a cabin on a lake, but it was actually a garage in East LA. Perspective, people. You know what I mean? You gotta switch that up real quick to find some gratitude. And so I lived in there, and I was just so grateful. I was just so grateful, and I would wake up next to a car every day, and I would think like, aren't we so grateful to be in here together? And I would wake up with sawdust on my face, but I was just so grateful, because the truth is that I can be grateful at any point, and I can be miserable at any point. And I can tell you I've achieved a lot of quote-unquote success, which is also not a real thing, and it hasn't made me feel any better if my spiritual conditioning isn't aligned. Right? Bottom line. And so I was so grateful, and I just kept coming back, and I worked steps. And I have to tell you, and this is kind of an uncomfortable thing, but when I got here, I hated my parents. I love you, Mom. This is going to get weird, but we have to talk about this, because there's been so much healing that's happened, and there's been such a change in everybody as a result of me getting clean. And so what happened was I worked my steps, you know what I mean? I worked the thorough fourth step. I mean, I worked the first three before that. Let's just do that quick. But I got to my fourth step, and I didn't feel any, I don't think it's as dramatic as everybody makes it. Everyone's like, oh my God. I'm like, yo, that already happened, and you've been using drugs over it every day. And you tell yourself about it all day long. Like, you're like, no one loves me, everyone left me, I'm going to smoke crack. What's the problem? That's your fourth step. What else? You know, I mean, it's painful, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying it's not, we always like to build up to this thing. And when I get to the thing, it's never as bad as I have made it. It never is. What's really uncomfortable is a sixth step. Yeah. You want to cry over something, cry over a sixth step. I did my sixth step. I was like, wait, I'm an asshole? What? I had a part in my own life? No. That's uncomfortable. If you want to cry about that, you can call me. Your 4-step, I'm like, yo, yeah, I get it, but we got to keep going. There's no time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. People stay on it way too long. I cannot, because I will kill myself. And you. I'll take all of y'all out if I'm on my 4-step too long, or my 6-step. I'll kill everybody there too. But I had worked a thorough 4-step to the best of my ability. I want to say that not everything that it has all come up in a divine way when the God of my understanding saw fit that I was capable of handling it. That's why I'm so grateful to be in Washington, because me and my mom are going to drive up after this to the place that I grew up in partially and make a living amends to both each other, my father, and life. So thank you for having me, because this is also a part of my recovery on an even deeper level than usual. And that's a beautiful thing that we get to do this. But I had worked a 4-step and I was still very angry, because the truth is that I didn't get the love that I always wanted, you know what I mean? And the story that I played out for myself, because I was abandoned a lot, was nobody loves me, I'm not enough, you're not enough, and everybody's gonna leave. And that was the story that I lived out of. And so what happened was I did a 4-step, I was on my 6-step, I think I had 2 years clean, and my mom, so my mom for Christmas, she got me this, this is an outside issue, but I don't care because I don't, because I don't give a fuck. Call your sponsor. The thing about it is that, yeah, call them, and I'm sure they really care. But in the Living Clean, it says that anything that dealt with our recovery is not an outside issue. And so this was a huge part of my learning curve. And I'm not promoting anything, because honestly it's a weird thing anyway, but my mom got me this 3-day seminar, right? And I was like, I have 2 years clean, so I know everything. Right. I'm like, yeah, I know everything. What could I possibly learn anywhere? Right? And I'm also 19 years old, so I know everything. It's like a double whammy. You know what I mean? I'm like, I know everything all the time. It's so hard to be me. And so my mom buys me this thing, and I'm so resentful. Because I'm like, other people get, like electronics for Christmas. Really? You know what I mean? And so I go to this thing. Now, I also have to tell you, when I got to Narcotics Anonymous and pretty much most of my life, I was terrified of white people. I was really terrified, and I was terrified of people with money, and so I associated white people with having money, and I felt like they could see through me, like they could see my shame, and so the seminar was in Orange County, and that was hell. That's where all the white people with money lived. And it was terrifying, like on a real level for me. I was really afraid. And I walked into this thing, and when I walked in, I was different. I was different than everyone, and everybody had money, and they could all see that I was poor, and they could all see that I was different, and they could all see, and they could all see, and they could all see, and they could all see. And I stayed anyway, and it was, the reason I stayed is because the dude that ran this thing was a fucking lunatic, and he was like, on the 3rd day, I'm going to tell you the meaning to life. And I was like, tight, they're going to commit mass suicide. Who doesn't want to watch that? Right? I'm like, this is going to be great. They're going to wear tracksuits and drink Kool-Aid and get their own planet, and I will have watched all of it unfold. And so I had to stay. So real. So the first day comes, and it's under fluorescent lighting, and it's like 13 hours a day, and I'm different, and I know everything, and I know everything, and I know everything. So I learn absolutely nothing. Right. Second day comes. And the weird thing is that I know everything. So I learn absolutely nothing. I don't know if this is the theme here or what, but I just, I didn't learn anything. Third day comes, right? And the guy's like, I want you to write out the saddest things that have ever happened to you. And I'm like, I'm going to win. I'm going to body all these rich white people. I'm going to take home the sad prize and put it on my mantle. Right? I'm going to win. I've never played sports. Like, I'm going to win. This is my thing. Sad shit, that's me. So I write down all this stuff. I was molested as a child. My parents allowed me to get molested in a group setting. Like, I'm going in. You know what I mean? I want to, not my parents. Sorry, Mom, not you. My stepmom and my dad. And so, I'm really excited. because I love being a victim. Right? So I write out all this stuff. I was kidnapped and raped. I was brutalized. I've been homeless. All these things. And I am just stoked. And so he says, I want someone to come to the front of the room. Now, I'm a good addict. I'm not going to go to the front of the room first. I need to understand when they're going to commit suicide. You know what I mean? Because I'm not ready to die. I just want to die. Right? Newcomers? I don't want to die. I just want to die. And so, so this woman goes to the front of the room. And he says, what's the saddest thing that's ever happened to you? And she starts crying. And she goes, when I was 12, I was raped. And he says, and what did you have for breakfast? Yeah, I know. Insane. I'm like, this guy's going to get killed. I'm like, this didn't pan out how I thought. And she says, I had a granola bar. Now I'm confused. Even though I know everything, now I'm a little bit confused. I'm not really putting it together. And he goes, and what's the saddest thing that's ever happened to you? And she says, I was raped when I was 12. And what'd you have for breakfast? A granola bar. And what happened to you when you were 12? I was raped. And what'd you have for breakfast? A granola bar. And then he said, we spend so much time thinking about what other people are thinking about us that we fail to live. At the end of all of this, we're all going to die. We're going to go to Denny's for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to move on. I lived out of a backpack of old ideas. The only things I knew about myself prior to getting to Narcotics Anonymous were that I was unloved. All these things that I bought into, that nobody ever, whatever, fill in the blank. Those are the things that I lived out of. I lived out of a backpack of emotion. I lived out of things that I thought you were telling me that then I not only bought into, but I lived to the fullest extent based upon what had happened to me. I spent so much time living in my past that I failed to be in the present. That's what the step work is designed to do. It's not about you liking me. It's not about social acceptability. Those things are great. They'll probably come and then some people won't like you and that'll be great too. It doesn't matter. What this was about was allowing me to be the freedom from active addiction is not just, any addict can stop using, lose a desire to use and find a new way to live, but tell me how to live. Tell me how to live, because that's why I got high, right? And so what it was that I was holding on to these old ideas about who I thought I was based upon what had happened. And the truth is that I wasn't loved the way I should have been loved because nobody knew any better. We take life so personally. I took life so personally. My dad dying, I took it personally, a personal affront from God. I made it about me. It was never about me. I just happened to be there. And so what I had to do was I had to let all of those things go. Because what I knew was I could not stay clean and hold on to it, right? Here's the thing. I cannot be sick and well at the same time. I can't. It is impossible. I cannot be, abused and in a healthy relationship at the same time. I can't. I tried that. It doesn't work. So I had to make a decision. The phenomenal thing about Narcotics Anonymous is once you get introduced to yourself through step work, you have decisions to make. If you want to be a degenerate, you can. If you want to sleep with newcomers, you can. You can do whatever you want. You can. You can. People don't like that in the back. They're like, no. Yeah, do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Do whatever you want. Because the truth is that the more mistakes that I made in my early recovery allowed me to refine who I wanted to be. I have always learned by doing the wrong thing. And what I found out, I did. That's right. You can do whatever you want. When I got here, what I'm talking about when I say you can, be a degenerate, you can get a job, you can do all that, because when I got here, I really believed that I had absolutely no choice in my life. I had absolutely no choice in my life. I lived to get high. And what that did was it allowed me no decision making in that process. So if you want to come here and you want to make a mess, go ahead. I will pray for you. I have made many a mess. If you want 25 boyfriends, you go get them. You will pay a spiritual price out here. It's going to be rough. I hope you have a great sponsor. When I made a decision to stay clean no matter what, I made that decision. And let me tell you guys, I have done some really insane things in my recovery. When I got a year clean, I decided that I was going to make music. I was out of my mind before that. Everyone's like, oh,
What?
did you make
No.
music before that? I was supposed to be dead at like 21. What? I made a decision to make music, and I've only started sharing about this recently because it makes me very uncomfortable, but The Living Clean is one of my favorite books now. It used to be at Work Sound Why, but The Living Clean is where it's at, and guess what they told me? They told me that I had to share my success, because I got my success as a result of Narcotics Anonymous, point blank, period. There was no success without Narcotics Anonymous. So what happened was I made a decision to make music, and everyone was like, you're going to get high, and I was like, you don't know me. Right? Because I was so stubborn and I knew everything, and you guys also needed me at this point. What would you do without me? I was so crazy when I was new. I was wild. And so I started to do this, you know what I mean? And I started touring when I had like 2 years clean, and I got into vans with people, and I was with addicts all the time who were not clean, you know what I mean? But what I wanted was I took the principles and the traditions that I had learned in Narcotics Anonymous, and I applied them to my life in most areas of my life. And what happened was I started to be successful, and I started to get really uncomfortable with that. Because as addicts, we love to fail. It feels good. We could tell everybody about it. They'll validate it. They'll be like, oh, that sucks. She is a bitch. Right? That's what we do. We're like, yeah, I hate her too. Who is she? We love to fail. We strive for it. But being successful was uncomfortable for me. And so I had to walk through that. And I had to walk through those feelings of feeling inadequate on the inside, but still acting as if I believed in what you actually saw me to be. Because the thing is that we pull potential out of each other. It is our job to see the best out of each other and pull that potential out. And so what happened was I started to believe in the person that you saw. And I started to invest in that person. And I just showed up no matter what. And I want to tell you, it has not always been great. It has actually been very brutal to put yourself on, on stages in front of people and to show them who you are. And I have failed, Renee, yeah, I have failed. I've been booed off stage. I've had things thrown at me. I've had money stolen. I have, all the things that happen in active addiction have happened to me in my clean time. I've had people, say hateful things on the internet. I've had people talk about my dad dying and, no wonder he died, things like that. That happens on a consistent basis for me. But the thing was, I also had to understand that perseverance, the spiritual principle of perseverance, is one of the most beautiful things that I've gotten out of this work. And integrity, what integrity means is being fully integrated. So I had to understand who I really was and allow myself to blossom through that and see myself in all my flaws and all my perfection. Because the thing is, Michelangelo was a painter, but he was also a sculptor. And they asked him, how did you make this statue of David? And he said, I just took away everything that didn't belong there. That's what the step work did. It took away everything that didn't belong there. This didn't change me. It didn't change me. The step work didn't change me. It just removed everything that did not serve me. There's been so many things that I've invested in that did not serve me. Have you ever dated yourself? Yeah. You know what I mean? Have you ever dated yourself? And then in the alternate sequence, have you ever dated yourself? I have dated myself. I have dated myself. I have loved myself. I have allowed myself to grow in all the beautiful parts and all the mess. I have shown up no matter what. strength without limits. And it doesn't look pretty. Newcomers, it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look pretty to get clean. It doesn't look pretty to stay clean. You know what I mean? I've had a really rough few months. I stayed at Angela and Yo's house because I just put myself back into treatment, low-key. I was like, I have 11 years clean and I don't want to be an adult. You know what I mean? And what happened was, because I got diagnosed with a spinal degeneration phase 2 in December, and my friend died, and my sister's dying of the disease of addiction, and so there was a bunch of stuff going on, and I know when I need to ask for help with 11 years clean. I know when I need to ask for help. And anyway, so with my music, I just want to say, I went on to win a Grammy. Yeah. I think am I like the only person in NA that won a Grammy? We got a Grammy out here. We did it. We did it. I don't know why they gave it to me, but we did it, guys. That's ours. That's ours. I put in most of the work, I want to say that, but that's ours. I did. I definitely did. I'm going to tell another story really quick. How long do I really have, though? I feel like I've been talking forever. I got 10 minutes. I'm going to tell you guys a beautiful story about the God of my understanding. Yay. So me and my mom have had such a beautiful journey, and I want to say that the healing has probably happened in the last 5 years. I would love to tell you guys that it happened sooner. It didn't. But it is such an incredible thing. I adore my mother. I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. A few years ago, we went together. We went to Italy, right, which is crazy because we were both, she got free lunch as a kid. I wore, like, men's sweatpants at 4. You know what I mean? Like, it was insane. They let us into Italy. And so I woke up in Italy, and at this point, my sister had 60 days clean, and I was so grateful. And I woke up on December 29th, and my sister had 60 days clean at this point, and I woke up in Italy with my mom. And it was my dad's birthday. And so I said to him, I said, I love you so much, thank you. And so we went about the day, and my mom is super neurotic. God bless you. She plans everything out. You know what I mean? She's like, 5:01, look at the wall. 5:02, look at a castle. 5:03, eat a snack. 5:04, get on a boat. I'm like, yo, you're bugging me out. So she's doing this whole wild boy thing of the planning, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. And so we miss a boat. Oh, I know. She lost her shit. She was like, oh my God, we lost a boat. I'm like, there's another boat. That's what's crazy about boats. So we got on the next boat and we lived. No. So we get on the next boat, and when we get to this island, everything's shut down because we missed the first boat. I guess maybe you're right a little bit. All right. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit there. But God shows up how God shows up. We don't need to get on the boat, Mom. So so we end up on this island, and everything's closed, and I speak, broken Italian with a little bit of Spanish and some Korean, and and so I'm figuring it out, and there's one restaurant open, and it's like, over the river, through the woods, through a hole in the wall, and they're like, that's the spot. And so I'm like, we're gonna get robbed, and that's fine. And so we end up in this place, and it's family owned, and there's nobody in there. We're the only 2 people, and we're sitting in there, and we're just so grateful to be eating food. And all of a sudden, this little man walks in, and this little man is dressed up in a suit. And it's like he popped out of a wall. I mean, he literally came from nowhere, and he walked over to me, and he said, this is for you. And he started to play this song, and we both started to cry, because at that moment I knew that that was the God of my understanding and my Father there in my spirit, and I could feel him so holy. And we were both crying, and I didn't know what the song said. And, after we got up and we went to leave, and all of a sudden my dad's voice started playing off of a voice memo of a song that I had made where I sampled my father's voice probably like 7 years ago. And my dad started to talk, and he said, songs from the attic. And my mom didn't even have that song in her phone. It just started to play. So we were both there. We can validate it. We're not crazy, but we are crazy. Yeah. So we get back to the hotel, and I go to look up the song. And the lyrics are, it's a song that a father had written to his daughter. And the lyrics are, I love you, I'm sorry. I love you, I'm sorry. It's just a chain that lives in my veins, but I love you and I'm sorry. That's why I stay in Narcotics Anonymous. The spiritual nature of what goes on here is beyond. It's beyond explanation. I would not be able to give it justice with my words. It is absolutely beyond. But the fact that my father, being in a spirit realm, still is capable of making amends to me and vice versa is beyond words. That's why I stay clean. The connectedness of us all. I have so many stories like that. What I found out as a result of staying clean and showing up no matter what, whether I feel good, whether I feel bad, whether I feel good, whether I feel bad, I've found a connection to people. And I've allowed other people to love me as my father does. I've allowed other people to parent me. I've allowed other people to be my sister who is dying. Other people have stepped in that role and loved me because I understand that spirit is eternal. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. I just want to thank you guys so much for having me out here. It really means the world to me. Thank you.